Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Science of SaaS Startups podcast. Today, I'm talking to Gilles Bertaux. Gilles is the CEO and founder of Livestorm. They're a Series B funded video communications platform which connects teams to host, promote, and analyze online events. Gilles, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So I just want to kick off just by asking you a few quick fire questions just to help the audience get to know you a little bit. So first one, what's your favorite color?
Wow, that's an original one. What's my favorite color? I mean, like the majority of people, I'm gonna go with blue. I read a study the other day that blue was like the most liked color for some reason. So I'm gonna go with that. And
okay.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Can't go too far wrong with blue, can you? So that's fine. And what is the number one item on your bucket list which you're still yet to achieve?
Well, I think I'm living it right now. I started this company like 5 years ago, and it feels like it's weird because it feels like a week ago, it feels like a decade ago. So it's it's a mixed feeling, and I still feel every day that we haven't even barely scratched the surface. So I think the first item in my bucket list is actually to go as far as possible, build something people will remember, some kind of legacy, somehow, like bring like a really amazing success story. So, and I think we are just barely at the beginning of what it can be. So, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And what do you do for exercise?
I'm a remote worker, so I tend to spend 1.5 months in different cities, and then I move to cities to another. So I do what I can, if that's the full answer. So basically, everything related to workout at home. Actually, COVID kind of, I don't know, produced a lot of content on how to work out at home. So, lucky me, now that I'm remote working, I can actually build on that. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So barely calisthenics, whatever is available around me.
Yeah. Okay. And what is your biggest fear in life?
Biggest fear would be to lose time. I spend most of my 20s actually building this company, and sometimes you kind of wonder, did I miss something? I see a lot of friends that have been, they kind of moved very far within their life, right? Like the child, they traveled perhaps more than me, and even though I'm traveling right now, so I'm kind of catching up on that. But yeah, losing time. I think time is precious. The 20s go fast. I think 30s will go even faster. So make sure I get the most of it.
I guess for any entrepreneur and any founder, like time is the most precious resource always as well.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, well, so now if we jump into Livestorm, so do you want to just kick things off and give us an overview of the company and what you're trying to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, Livestorm is a video communication platform on which you can host like meetings and webinars from 10 to literally thousands of people. And the one thing that we try to do differently, or that we do differently, is that we don't focus so much on video, which is kind of counterintuitive, when you think about it as a video conferencing product. But we think that the future of video communication lies in all the jobs to be done that are around video. So the first layer is interactions and, providing different types of content and diverse way of interacting with the audience. Second layer will be how to organize better your events, make sure you can actually in under 8-7-5 minutes organize an event from A to Z, promotion included, retargeting included, the whole thing. And we want to make that easy so that even someone that is not a marketer, even someone that is not tech savvy can actually host 3,000 people events without relying on other teams. And I think the last layer of the thing we want to build around video is how does it integrate deeply with a company. Companies have tools, they have way for authentications, to have a lot of to have websites. We want to make sure we can actually adapt to all those things, integrate as deeply as possible, and be like be part of the company somehow, really merge into it. So for the first time, I think if I had to sum it up, it's to say we don't want them to adapt to the video tool in order to produce content, but we want to adapt to what they want to produce. For the first time, I want people to come in on a B2B live streaming software and say, well, what I'm going to create without having to worry about the how, and is the tool going to enable me to do it? Can I do it? You actually you want to focus on the type of content you want to create, and then we're going to be flexible enough to enable you to do it. That's a long answer, but that's pretty much the directions we're taking as a video conferencing product.
Yeah, because I guess, in terms of these kind of online events, it's such a, like a rapidly evolving field, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess companies are kind of learning as they go with this, and you're kind of helping them to kind of experiment and do different things.
Absolutely. And I think what 2020 taught us is that, content really diversified. I mean, like I would say like 2 years ago, the video conferencing was mostly like a sales or marketer paradigm where you had to, host webinars or trainings or demos or whatnot. And, the rest was pretty much opening a video communication with your colleague and just talk about whatever project or whatever you wanted to talk about. But that was it. And everything about just opening a video pipe and organizing events in general was mostly a sales and marketing paradigm. But now in 2020, we've seen a lot of different businesses actually using video conferencing for a lot of different things. For example, we've had the NHS in the UK using Livestorm to teach doctors and hospitals and best practices around COVID. So mostly about coordination in times of crisis. We had banking groups communicating internally because they had so many people internally across all different countries and offices that they had this internal audience they wanted to reach out, and they didn't do that in the past. They didn't have these proper conferences internally live with everybody remote and talking remote. So for the first time, they started doing that. And they have a lot of examples like this. So 2020 really diversified the content. And the consequence of that is exactly what I just said, is basically people now, they don't care about just opening a video pipe. They want the tools that enable them to really push the momentum forward with this diversification of content. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it's a really kind of fascinating, just to watch a whole industry kind of develop and grow, almost in real time, like over the last year. So it's amazing. So if we kind of wind back to kind of 14, 15 months ago in kind of March 2020, and at that stage, you've been building this company already for kind of 2 or 3 years. And then the world starts to enter this kind of movie-like apocalyptic phase where everybody gets locked in their houses. And at what point does it dawn on you that this is going to be really beneficial for your business? Like, do you just see that straight away, or does it take a few weeks, a few months to play out?
Let me tell you a story that I always tell to the new people that come on board at Livestorm. So essentially what happens is the month of March is always a good month for us. It's always like, I don't know, budgets are picking up, marketing campaigns picking up. So typically March is always a good month. And in 2020, what happened is, so we woke up in March and we have around 1,000-ish customer, more or less. And I see more momentum, I see more activity. So I refreshed the dashboard with all the metrics. And every time I was refreshing the dashboard, numbers were going up. Like every time I was refreshing. And I was like, well, this is not normal. What is happening? And, it took us like probably 2 weeks to actually realize that it was not just like an epiphenomenon of, March being as a good month. And we kind of prepared ourselves to whatever was coming. We knew it was going to be probably a big wave of usage, but we never could have anticipated perhaps like how big it was going to be. So we had a rough first week, I think it was pretty much beginning of April or last week of March. That was pretty rough on the server, on the team, so we had to we had to react. We had to react. So basically, we stopped everything we were doing. We stopped the product roadmap. We just focused on reliability. We just focused on scaling the architecture. We just raised a Series A, so we had plenty of money in the bank. So it was not just, we're going to pay to win and pay to survive. And that's, and screw margin, screw all that stuff. We're going to pay to stay afloat. And I think it paid off. We obviously had a lot of also human and management thing to put in place. Sure that typically the care team is a fairly good example. There were like 4 people at the beginning of March handling around 2,000 conversations in general for the support. And out of a sudden, they had 20K conversations to handle with 4 people. Wow. And then you have to think, okay, how do I literally scale 10 times my support team, even though I could recruit, but those guys I'm going to recruit, this is going to be on the door, maybe a month or 2 months later. So I can't afford that. So how do we play out? So it was just pure automation. So it was just, automations, a lot of automations, structuring who get access to the priority support or not. So refreshing all the rules. Second thing is transitioning product to working towards providing the tools to the support to, help them gain time, providing context on the customer, providing automated actions you could trigger symptoms, stuff like that. And the 4th item was, in terms of crisis, you do whatever you can. And basically, all the team was jumping on support. So whenever we had a spike, we'll see like, 20, 30 people coming on, and doing support and whatever. If you were like head of growth, head of sales, whatever, you were just going to support and answering tickets with the rest of the support team. So it was really intense, but we made through it. So I guess, lucky us.
Yeah, well, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Absolutely. I think that's the perfect summary of that.
And whenever like the world goes through these kind of big pivots, we obviously see like a flood of innovation and investment going into new companies who are, trying to serve these new requirements. Can you give us like a sense of how you see like this market evolving and segmenting? Like, do you see, there just being plenty of lunch to go around for everybody, or will we see, 2 or 3 vendors start to dominate in different areas of the market?
That's a really good point. The way I'm seeing it, that's just my personal opinion on the market, but I see evolving within 3 folds. So I think the first fold, and there is always 2 variables: complexity and frequency of the events. And the first fold will be really frequent events and low complexity. So this is typically what we've been doing for the past 30 years. Daily communications, daily collaborations. All we care about is opening a video pipe and talk to the people that is sitting remotely, wherever that is. Then on the other end of the spectrum, something that is fairly new is very complex events that happen online and that are not so frequent. So typically big summits, big virtual events that requires networking, booth, exposition, all those guys. And that's more, you probably heard of Hopin as a big company that kind of strives during COVID. And this is typically their territory. Hopin is this is what they do. And they are going to dominate that segment. On the daily collaboration, we have the usual suspects. We have Teams, we have Zoom, we have WebEx, and so on and so forth. But in the middle of that, we have a 3rd fold, which is all those events that happens either externally or internally that are frequent and also fairly complex. So typically you have the webinar that you host every week or every month. You have the customer demos, customer training, and internally you have board meetings, all hands, all those events that require some kind of organization, some kind of control on who gets access to speaking, who gets access to, basically interacting. And those are the formal events, as we call it. And this is a space that is not really formalized yet. And this is why we lie here. And this is why we are actually present in so different matrices of Gartner or all those guys, because we lie in the middle, in this specific middle. So my take is that this track of the market needs to have a name, and the name we gave it, and we did a recent launch actually last week. We call that video engagement platform. So typically all you care about within this segment is having a recurring ROI, a recurring engagement on all those events that you produce. You don't care about opening a video channel. You don't care about having complexity. What you care about is engagement with your audience, whatever that is, externally, internally. And it has to be on a frequent basis. So you have to have all the organization in place as well. And so I think the market as we go forward will be divided into three folds. And I'm hoping that this chunk in the middle that we call video engagement platform will be recognized at some point. We're working with Forrester and Gartner to actually make that an actual name. But fingers crossed, we're able to make it.
Yeah, okay. So if we kind of dig up into like the startup life, so with Livestorm, you've had $35 million of investment so far, and you had a Series B of $30 million at the end of 2020. So before you founded Livestorm, you were working as a designer. What kind of gave you an intuition at that time that kind of video engagement and online events were going to be the next big thing?
Actually, I wore multiple hats. I was working in my last year of internship back in college, where we got this idea. Actually, I was working as a growth marketer, so more on the marketing side of things. Before that, I was doing design, and I was still doing some freelancing on the design side. So I was wearing both hats. So I had like a DNA, product DNA, and a marketer DNA. And essentially, from a marketing standpoint, I was missing all the 80% around the event. I was missing the percent of organizing an event. I had to stitch tools together to make sure I had the landing pages, the emails, the blah, blah, all those things. I was missing the integrations after the webinar, after the event I was organizing. So I didn't have a proper integration that could pipe with my CRM and do all those cool automation stuff. So from a marketing standpoint, I was kind of frustrated. And from a designer standpoint, from a product standpoint, the defaults that the tool was providing at the time. So whatever that was, landing pages and emails, it was like plain text, no CSS, whatever. It was really ugly. And from a branding perspective, it was hurting my feelings. It was like, why can't I have something that is powerful, simple, and with a nice UX, with a nice UI, something that, make me feel like I'm actually using something from the 21st century actually. And so yeah, it was just let's build something that feels more like today. It was really the first intuition to leverage a new technology, browser-based technology, leverage actual UX as a platform, and leverage all the jobs to be done that was not really well addressed by the tools at the time as a marketer. And basically the first positioning that we went for was webinar software that lives in a browser for marketer that work in SaaS industry. That was it. And that doesn't care so much about video, it care about organization. And actually that positioning didn't involve much. We added some features and added more product things around, but it's pretty much the same pattern, not caring so much about video.
Yeah, okay. And did you always see yourself as an entrepreneur? Like, did you always expect to kind of set up your own company, or was it just a case of I've had this idea and it's too good an opportunity to turn down, we're going to go for this?
It was never the plan in the first place. It kind of happened. I mean, I don't even come from, my parents, they are professors, they're teachers actually. In a public system, so nothing to do with I don't come from an entrepreneurial background or whatever, so I didn't have that in me. The thing is, I went to the school in Paris where they teach you how to do design, teach you how to do web marketing, they teach you how to do code. So you kind of wear those multiple hats, and you have a lot of projects with actual clients and stuff. And the final exam is actually to build your own product and to build your own business plan as if you're going to launch the whole thing. And the funny thing is that when we presented that, we streamed our own presentation using our own tool, the very first version of Livestorm. And people started jumping in, and then people asked us to stream their own presentation. So at the end of the day, we streamed for 8-9 hours, and we had like hundreds, if not thousands of people joining all day long. And for the first time, I'm like, shit, we built something people like. Wow. And you're just a student and basically moving on, transitioning from student to unemployed and being an entrepreneur is not so much difference in terms of lifestyle for us. Obviously, we got really lucky because we got offices for free. We got them provided by the school. We got, in France, you get like you get like I don't know, some kind of minimum wage when you just worked for 1 year, and you get 1 year of wage while you're unemployed. So it's pretty cool. So we had all that, and it was pure luck, pure timing, and we just decided, let's go with it. What's the worst that could happen? Pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And as a first-time founder, like how did you find the learning curve going through the fundraising process? When you were doing your Series A and your Series B, like what are the main things that you learned?
Well, I think it's about being more. It's about like professionalizing everything. I mean, the first thing is you kind of learn every job. That's the first thing I remember. I learned how to be a marketer. I learned how to be a designer. I learned how to even develop some of the stuff that we had. The website, for example, first version of the website, I coded the whole thing, designed the whole thing, and that was it. And then you have automations campaign, then you have support, then you have to do sales. So you kind of learn all those stuff. You got hiring, of course. So you kind of learn everything, all the steps of the way. And as soon as you find someone that is better than you, you just delegate. And so I think the first thing that you have to learn is learn the job, like it, even love it, and then you just let it go and give that to someone and move forward and something else. And it's been like that since the beginning. Even now, it's like this. I just recently hired a CFO, so I had to go about the whole finance and revenue thing. And now I'm trying to. I had PR, and then I gave that away as well. So it's a constant way of letting go things and finding new things to focus on. It's
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes every day, I guess, when you're learning something new so often.
Yeah, but it's interesting because you never get bored, I guess, and every year is pretty different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And where have you seen the biggest challenges as you've grown? Have they been more on the technology side or more on the commercial side?
It's more on the marketing side. I mean, I think that's pretty particular to our market, right? Because we have a lot of people. There is a lot of a lot of competitors in the market, right? So doing a bunch of different things, and I think that's also one of the main difficulty is that people don't really know what is web conferencing. They don't know the difference between video conferencing, web conferencing, webinar, meeting, virtual events. All this, there is semantic chaos of people don't knowing what is it. For you, a meeting with 20 people able to talk and able to present might be a meeting. For someone else could be a webinar. And there is this semantic thing going on that kind of make people think this is a really big red ocean where in fact actually there are specific use cases, specific segment, and so being able to provide messaging, something that is really clear to understand and how the market is structured or where you position yourselves, how you're different, is something that we've been struggling for, I think, since the beginning, right? How are you different from Zoom is probably the questions I get like the most, even today. So, I guess that's the main thing.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, I really appreciate your time today, Gilles. Thank you for joining us. If people want to get in touch and discuss Livestorm, how best should they approach your company?
Well, you can always ping me on Twitter, even though I'm pretty boring on Twitter since I'm basically reposting stuff on the company. But my name is Gilles Bertaux attached on Twitter, also on LinkedIn. Feel free to DM me. And as for Livestorm, livestorm.co, there is a small chat on the website if you want to talk to the team and have some more information. So don't hesitate to do so.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Well, it's a really fascinating industry, and it'll be amazing to see kind of how it evolves over the next couple of years. And, you know, just as a user, I've kind of really appreciated being able to kind of virtually visit some of these events. So, you know, I definitely see it as the future, because, you know, there's a lot of events where I'd have been on the edge about going to, and, you know, it kind of, I can massively see the added value. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
And, you know, look forward to seeing the company grow in the future.
Yes. All right. Cheers.